This is Kareem. And I'm Bill. And he has a New York Times top 10 best-selling book out just this week. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have had the privilege and pleasure of reading this book. I had an advance copy about a month ago, and it changed my life. And I couldn't be more fortunate, couldn't be happier to be here tonight. But I have one question to start with. Why and when did you stop taking acid?
It's no good for you. Immediately.
Immediately?
Yeah, 1 or 2, and that was it.
Maybe you should have talked to me earlier. Kareem, you talk in your book about the frustration with the progress. You talk about due time. Can you explain the difficulties of the slow process of change in our world today?
Geez, it's like most people, it takes a long time and a whole lot of study to discuss this subject. But you know, it's all about the common good, and really what the founding fathers said about that subject, that we come together, we form this democracy, and we try to work for the good of all of us. That's supposed to be our focus and our goal. So that's how I see it. I think the founding fathers had it right, and I think we got work to do.
How would things have been different for you if you had grown up in California?
Geez, I don't know. That's very interesting. You know, maybe I would have realized my lifelong dream and played baseball. You know.
In the book, you talk about your love for baseball. You talk about Coach Wooden's love for baseball. Can you share with us some of the conversations that you had and why baseball?
Coach Wooden loved the game. He played baseball at Purdue. He's a very good baseball player. I think he played either second base or shortstop. But very determined and capable baseball player. And for those of you who don't know, in 1953, Coach Wooden was offered the opportunity to manage the Pittsburgh Pirates. But he turned it down because he had made his commitment to UCLA, and you know how Coach Wooden was with his commitments. You know, that was that. See, Bill's laughing, right? Yeah, there we go. See? When you see guys that play for Coach Wooden, they start laughing when somebody starts talking about something. That's what it's about. Because
I laughed and I cried.
Yeah.
You lost 2 games in high school. One as a senior at the very end at DeMatha. You also lost to Pat Riley's team when you were a sophomore. You were playing for Power Memorial. He was up in Schenectady.
We lost 6 games when I was a freshman.
Those don't count.
And 1 game when I was a senior.
But you lost to Pat Riley.
But no, the game to Pat Riley.
He fouled out in the first half.
I'm in the 9th grade. I'm 14 years old, playing varsity basketball, and we go upstate to New York. You know, from the city, you leave the city, and they look at you like it's Al Capone and his boys. But you know, we play in this holiday tournament in Schenectady. Pat Riley's high school is hosting it.
He was a senior that year,
He was a senior, right. And they made sure that they won this Christmas tournament. They fouled me out in the first half. I didn't even know how to foul. You know,
he learned how to foul later. I got a broken jaw to prove it.
They figured this out. So, but we went back and played them 2 years later. It was a little bit different that time.
What did Pat say to you over all the years?
Pat always was like, yeah, remember, he was always telling me that happened. Then I reminded him about a game that he played against Texas Western.
Glory Road.
There you go. So I had a little comeback for him, and that shut him up after a while.
Kareem, could you describe the penthouse apartment that you grew up in Midtown Manhattan?
You mean the apartment that we shared with another family in Harlem? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the one on the 5th floor with 2 bedrooms.
Yeah, we had one and they had one. Yeah. No, it was a very interesting time. My family moved out of Harlem when Harlem was at its most crowded, and we were living. Me, my dad, and my mom had 1 bedroom of a 2-bedroom apartment, and we had 1 bedroom and the living room, and we shared it with another family. That was commonplace in New York City and Harlem in those days. And finally, we got out of there. I was 3 years old, and moved to a much better set of circumstances outside of Harlem, and got away from all of the negative aspects of living in Harlem.
One of those negative aspects was the civil unrest, the riots in 64, 65. You were out in the streets as a young high school student?
Right, I got a chance to witness that, and I was working in a mentoring program where I was involved in a journalism workshop, so we went out and covered it as journalists, and it really helped me understand the need for activism and the need for people to be involved in political issues. You see the negative aspects of what can happen when people are powerless, and it makes you want to do something about it.
And there's a very vivid description in the book of you in the streets observing all this, and then the bullets and the tear gas, and you having to run.
Well, just you want to get out of that environment. I saw it, and I couldn't believe it, but there it was. I got out of there. The very next day I was back there, because it was that riot happened on a Sunday. On Monday I was back there on the street with my pad and pen and trying to talk to people about why it happened, and try to talk to the police officers. It was interesting to see how all that played out. But again, it was anger over a young kid got shot by a police officer. The police officer said the kid had a knife. We'll never know. But these things have occurred over and over and over. People have reacted to it more recently because it's been on film and it's verifiable. But in the black community, we knew what was happening to us and to so many of our young men, and it went on for too long.
Where did your love of writing come from?
I think my love of writing came from just the fact that my dad was an avid reader. I enjoyed reading, and it allowed me to travel the world and learn things. I would talk with my grandmother. She always encouraged scholarship, but she was from the West Indies and really gave me an idea that the world was a very big place, and you need to educate yourself in order to do well in the world.
As a child growing up, who were some of your favorite authors, and where did you like to go on these time-traveling trips?
With Little Jim on Treasure Island and Kidnapped, or The Black Arrow, Robert Louis Stevenson, Ivanhoe, Three Musketeers, all that stuff, all that great stuff,
And would you get these books from the public library, or
Yeah,
did you
get 'em from
come
the
down
library,
to the
yeah.
Herb Albert and Jerry Moss Center and pick them up in the lobby?
No, the public library on Broadway at Post Avenue.
The sense of poetry that comes through this incredible book here, where did you come up with that appreciation for that type of writing?
I think my appreciation for that just came from my love of literature and learning. And then Coach, he loved it to death, and he could quote all of his favorite poets, Elizabeth Barrett Browning and Shakespeare and other people like that.
Can you recite poetry like he could?
Not like he could, no.
Nobody ever could.
Nobody could. I mean, he had it
He
down.
would just go for hours, days.
He could. Yeah.
Let me read the great poetic inscription. To little Billy, I hope this gives you some insights into the way things were way before your time. Wishing you all the best, your friend Kareem. He didn't say nice things like that when we played, which was fine.
That was fun, though.
It was a thrill for me and an educational experience. When you went to UCLA, please describe that first time when Coach came to the penthouse there in Midtown Manhattan. And
Well, I had already been to UCLA for my recruiting trip, and I wanted to go there. So my parents wanted to meet Coach, and usually Coach didn't do that, but he thought I was worth it. So
you were.
that was cool. Yeah. But I got a little annoyed.
And you still are.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I got a little annoyed though, because I had to go to my room while the adults spoke. That kind of pissed me off. I was 18 at that point.
But there was a great story that you tell, and all the stories in here are absolutely brilliant. But he tells the story of how when Coach comes over, his parents sent him to his room. And so Kareem was standing by the door with his ear trying to listen to what they were saying. And can you just imagine that as great a basketball player and human being as there ever has been, trying to listen to what the old people are saying about him outside?
I didn't try too hard, Bill. I figured I was in the driver's seat because I was going to go whether my parents liked Coach or not, but I knew that they'd like him. So I wasn't worried about it.
What were some of the surprising things about Coach Wooden when you first got to UCLA in 1965?
Yeah, the very first thing, our very first conversation that I had with him, I'm coming all the way out to California to play basketball. I figured, I meet the coach, we're going to talk about the basketball program and his hopes and aspirations. And the first thing he starts talking to me about is academics. And he says, Kareem, you got good grades. You should do well here. And I expect all of our athletes to go to class and get their degrees because that's why you came here in the first place, isn't it? I was like, well, yeah. I did hear something about some hoops here, But it was a pleasant surprise, because he wasn't the average guy. Most college coaches would give an arm, a leg, or a favorite child to win the NCAA tournament, and Coach wasn't in that mood, and he never ever took a step in that direction. He was incredible like that.
Can you describe what's going on in this picture right here on the cover?
What's going on in this picture is we're practicing someplace. I don't know.
I think that's Madison Square Garden. That's what I think.
I don't know if it's Madison Square Garden, but we're on the road at practice. And this is probably my sophomore, junior year. That's what's going on. And he's pointing out where he wants us to go on the court.
No, I'll tell you what he's saying. He's saying, look, you go over there and you make the shot, and you make the other guys miss the shot, and you get the rebound, and we're going to win this game. And if you look at his expression on the picture, Kareem's saying, yeah, right, Coach, I got this. How about the picture on the back?
Picture on the back is at a game, I think, in 2008 or 9.
At Pauley
Pavilion. I was walking out, and Coach was walking out at the same time, and he asked me, he said, you got to help me get on over to the side. So I said, sure, Coach. And I took his hand, and we walked off the court together. And I guess a whole lot of people noticed it and took the shot. But it's really poignant for me because here, again, role reversal. Here's a man that led me so effectively and taught me so much, and now I have to lead him off the court. It got to me. I thought about that for a few moments.
When you were at UCLA and you graduate, what did you anticipate your relationship would be like with the coach for the rest of time?
I knew Coach was pleased that I graduated.
He was really pleased when I graduated.
No, but I think that was more relief, Bill.
My jaw still hurts, man. Hawaii, 1975 or 6.
But no, you don't understand how coach has affected you until you get some time away from him, and then you start to realize all these things that you brought with you that he put in here and he put in here. And they're there, and you can't ignore it. And you gotta, you can't let go of that because you realize how important that is. All of the lessons, the ability to help the people that you care about and that you want to achieve something with, how to work with them and how to be there for them, and just the attitude that you have to accomplish that. He taught us all these great life lessons that we didn't even realize that he was teaching us these things. But this is what he was doing. And I would realize it when I would discipline my kids, and they didn't want to listen, and they're going to do it their way. So I'd let them do it and let them fail. And then at that point, I could teach them a few things, because I had their attention. And, but inward, I'd start smiling to myself because that's what Coach Wooden did with us. And it just, you realize that, geez, I got all these tactics and understandings that put there by Coach Wooden.
5 children?
Yes.
How many of them are here tonight?
None of them. No.
We're all Kareem's children. We're all Coach Wooden's children. The book starts with Barack Obama in the White House. Can you describe that situation?
That was a great day, Bill. I had a wonderful time. And so many people that got the Presidential Medal of Freedom from...
It was a phenomenal class.
It was unbelievable. Robert De Niro and Ellen DeGeneres,
Michael Jordan, Vin Scully.
Cecily Tyson, the Gates,
Bill
Gates and his wife.
Yep.
It was unbelievable. And, so proud to be part of that. Bruce Springsteen. Wow. Yeah.
Born to Run, Badlands, here we go. How about the music in your life? Where did that come? I know your dad was a trombone player.
My dad was a jazz musician, big band guy. If my dad had his life, just like you got to play for the Celtics,
yeah.
My dad wanted to play for Count Basie. It didn't happen, but that was where his heart was, and I got an incredible education and appreciation of jazz from my dad.
And why jazz? Why jazz as opposed to classical, as opposed to rock and roll?
Jazz
Are you into rap? What's the deal?
Jazz is America's gift to the world. It is the only art form that is native to America, and it is the best.
You're the gift to our world. How did Coach Wooden change in the 50 years that you knew him?
Well, I think Coach Wooden adapted to some tough situations. When Nell died, that was very difficult for Coach. That had been his partner and one of his legs for all of his life, and then he lost her. Imagine what it'd be like for any of you to lose a leg. It's not fun, and he had to adjust. And it was wonderful that those of us here in town, we could be there for him and be supportive. We go over to Andy Hill's house for reunions, or I'd go out there and watch the Dodger game with Coach. Coach and I would always be arguing about I'm a National League guy, he's an American League guy, so we had our all-time teams, and we'd argue about various tactics that we would have. I always had a tough time figuring out the outfield. You got guys like Duke Snyder and Willie Mays and Hank Aaron and Roberto Clemente and Stan Musial, and you got to figure out how to get them on the field. So, but that's just guys that are crazy about baseball. They think about stuff like that.
This is your 15th book, correct? Or 14th?
13th or 14th, I forget. Yeah. I'm over a dozen, though.
Your writing process, how does that play out? Do you sit at the computer yourself? Do you dictate it?
I write longhand. I write in the morning.
Longhand?
I write in the morning, and I try to do about 2 hours, or a couple. It's doing articles is shorter. You don't have to devote so much time to it. But I try to write in the morning and just get it done like that.
And the sense of putting it together, because when I look at it, there's no blurbs on this. This is just you, and this is a very, very personal book. This is really the first time in 51 years for me that I've seen the real personal side in a public setting here.
Well, I had to think about what I wanted to put in here. And a lot of it is a lot of stuff in there, and a lot of it is very personal.
Right.
And I didn't know if how Coach's family would feel about it. I didn't know how I would feel about it. Toward the latter part of our lives, we just were friends on a much more intimate and extended level than I ever thought possible, ever. And he helped me. Finally, I had a bad incident in high school with my high school coach. He used the N-word. He wasn't trying to be an idiot, but he lost his temper at me because I was being cocky and not playing very well in the game, and he tried to shock me out of it and used the N-word. He shouldn't have done that. But he got angry, and I got it. Finally, Coach helped me come to that understanding, and then put me on the phone with him. And after I got off the phone, he just said, "Kareem, have you ever made a mistake?" It's the end of that, right? There's that smile again.
I don't think he did.
Yeah.
I don't think you did. You never made a mistake.
Oh, right.
Except the
Neither
time you
did
broke
you.
my jaw.
You never made any mistakes.
I made every mistake in the book. Still
No, it
making
wasn't
them.
But at least I tell everybody, Bill was a good guy, but at least Coach didn't have to bail me out of jail.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty of smiling on a cloudy day. Kareem, this book talks a lot about things that people don't like to talk about: race, religion, and politics. You took that big giant leap here. Where did that come from?
It's something that we have to talk about because there are problems in those areas that we have to solve. And who are we going to solve it with? We can't solve it with some people living in South America or China. We have to solve it with the people that live in our communities. So we got to talk about these things. We got to get this solved, and we got to move on because America is too good an experiment to give up on it now.
And there's a very sad story in the book about an occasion at the Bat Rack restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share that with us? I know I've heard the story from you and from Coach, and there's a difference in the story.
Really? Well, we went to eat at this restaurant, the Bat Rack.
It's a very nice restaurant. I was always hungry at UCLA, but never for very long.
But on our way out, we stopped to talk to Mr. Spratt, who owned the place, and this woman came up to Coach Wooden. I was standing right next to him. She asked him a question about me using the N-word, and I'm right there, and it was ugly, but this is America. But the coach had never seen something like that happen, and it shocked him. He had a very tough time responding to it, and he tried to talk to me about, how he understood how I must have felt at a moment like that, and he tried to talk to me about it, but it was very difficult for him.
And how do people understand the racial problems if we're in the minority? Excuse me, if we're in the majority. Sorry, excuse me, I misspoke there. Coach Wooden, little short white guy from Indiana, right? Me, big, stupid, goofy, nerdy-looking guy from San Diego. And how do we understand the problems that you have to face every single day?
You listen, and you try to empathize. When I look back, let's say we look at an incident in history, Japanese Americans being sent to internment camps. I can understand that, just because of my experience. Most white Americans can't understand that. So, you have to go the extra mile or 3 or 10 to get that across, because sometimes it's hard for people to get something. And it's not because they're stupid or they're evil or they don't want to know, but some things are hard to understand. Some things are hard to grasp. So we have to have patience with each other and respect and an understanding that everybody has some worth.
What about the religious aspects, Kareem? He was set in his ways from Indiana, from Martinsville. You come from New York, you change. How did that play out in your personal relationship with the coach?
I don't think that really meant too much. We both believe in a monotheistic religion, and we're Americans. The Constitution makes it possible for all of us to come together on a morality that we can all agree to. Okay, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, enables people of all faiths and colors and all descriptions to come together, and we can agree on what's right and wrong and what is lawful and unlawful, despite our different religious backgrounds. That's one hell of an achievement. That's why America gets so much done, because we're able to include the best of everybody, and we got to keep working toward that end.
And could you share with us the discussions that you and Coach had about your different faiths?
Well, Coach wanted to know what motivated me to become Muslim. He didn't challenge me.
Because you grew up a Catholic, correct?
I grew up Roman Catholic.
Yep.
And he didn't challenge me and tell me I was wrong, but he wanted to know why and what my thought process was, and if I'd come to that decision the right way. And after talking to me, he realized that I had. We had an incredible discussion on the bus on a road trip.
Where Steve Patterson focused on in the center of that discussion.
Right. Steve was in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and then I decided to chip in my take on it, and we ended up having a great discussion. And Coach kind of mentored it, but he didn't try to dominate it or tell people how to think or what to think. And it was good for all of us. We really came together. That was a great moment.
Can you describe the scene of Bill Sweek at the end of the game in the tournament when he was supposed to go into the game and then ended up in the locker room?
Bill, I didn't see that. I was on the court.
You were on the court.
I didn't see that. All that went
but
down.
You know the story. You know the story. So
I know the story.
Tell the story.
So,
Bill Sweek was this very cool dude on the team.
Bill, and he was crazy. Bill was always doing stuff. For example, Bill dove into a pool up in Berkeley to win a bet from Jim Nielsen, one of his teammates. He said, "I bet you I'll dive into the pool." They bet $75, and we're getting ready to go to the game. Bill dives in the pool. Whoa! But he had gotten into it with Coach and wanted more playing time, and people were like, all intense about how much playing time they got, and it was crazy. So Bill wanted to walk, and he just got into a shouting match with Coach. He couldn't get into the locker room. Coach told him to leave. He left, couldn't get into the locker room, and ended up in limbo between the court and the bench. He couldn't go to either place. It was nuts. I came in after the game, and what's going on here? And people were like, somebody had Coach Wooden and was restraining him. And Sweek, there were a couple of guys between Sweek, with their hands out talking about, no, listen, we can't do this. And I was like, what's going on here? But the next morning, Coach came out. He spoke about the fact that he respected us all, and we had some work to do, and we were going to do that. And we got past it somehow.
Tell the story. You mentioned nail dying. And what was your relationship like with her, first of all?
Nell was always very quiet on the side. I never got to talk to her or find out, she just would sit there. She was like the wise old,
We were scared to death of her.
You were scared of her?
Oh my gosh. We were scared to death of the coach. I mean, when you played with him, did you spend a lot of individual time with him when you played with him?
No.
No, right.
No, just Well, we would talk to Coach mainly on road trips, on the plane, training table, stuff like that. And then if you had a chance to encounter with him on campus sometimes, or you see him in the morning when he was working out.
You talked about the family, Nan and Jim. What has Nan said to you about the book?
Nan really likes the book. She didn't know how I felt about her dad. She knew how Coach felt about me. She didn't know how I felt about him. So she's thanked me for spelling it out like that, and she really appreciated knowing some of the stuff in there that she didn't have any details on.
Share the story of when your parents were going down and what Coach Wooden would do to support them, unbeknownst to you,
Unbeknownst
on the
to
road
me,
playing for the Lakers.
Coaching.
Or coaching over in Arizona or Oklahoma.
No. I'm coaching with the Lakers now.
The Lakers?
I have to take.
Oh, the Andrew Bynum days, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful times.
Yeah. But no. Oh, wait. But I had to go back and forth between here in Arizona, and at times I had to put my dad in a assisted living home, and Coach would go see him.
And not tell you.
And he wouldn't tell me about it. You know, he would go and just be supportive like that. He was incredible. And I'd hear from him, if I was in a tough spot. And then you remember that time we were in Indianapolis, and
Oh yes.
that was rough, man. Coach started to have to go to the hospital. Bill and I were in Indianapolis at the NC2A, and we had to work. And then Coach goes down. Both of us, we wanted to leave. Forget Indiana. Coach was a lot more important. Yeah, it was tough.
Can you talk about what it was like to be in Coach Wooden's, the mansion on Margate, the palace that he lived in Encino?
Coach had all of his memorabilia, all the stuff that was important to him, out where he could see it. And this condo was where he lived with the woman of his dreams, the love of his life, and he wasn't going to leave there. So he was going to live there with their memories, because that was the most meaningful thing to him. And I gave Coach was a big fan of Lincoln, so I gave Coach a $50 commemorative coin from Illinois in 1918 that had a great portrait of Lincoln on it, and he kept it on his dresser because it was from me, And Nan is the one that told me that. I didn't know that.
You were his favorite.
Well, that's good to know.
You earned it. You deserved it.
I think I got my degree. I didn't try to give him any problems, and we won a few trophies.
Muhammad Ali. Share the story that you magnificently tell in this incredible book, You're Life-Changing for Me, about when Jim Brown called so many of you together in Cleveland after
Right.
Muhammad Ali had been...
Muhammad Ali refused the draft because he felt that the war was immoral and illegal. And he was very happy with that position. He didn't care what other people thought. That's what he thought, and he was going to maintain that position. But Coach Wooden had volunteered in World War II. He's very patriotic, and he didn't appreciate Muhammad Ali's stance until later. And then, toward the end of the 1970s, Coach really understood that the war was immoral and illegal. But he spoke critically about Ali, and he knew that I liked Ali, so it was kind of a problem.
Never mistake patriotism with militarism.
Right.
Those are two different things.
Yeah, they are. But that wasn't why I liked Ali, because when I was in high school, he was wonderful. I remember he went to Sonny Liston's camp and messed with Sonny's mind to the point where Sonny was chasing him around his training camp. I knew that he was going to lose the fight at that point because Ali had messed his mind up. Sure enough, Liston got knocked out. Okay, so but that was Ali. He had that charisma, and he was an intelligent guy, and he knew what he was talking about.
But you had this seminar, really, this gathering of, very famous, very powerful, very important people in Cleveland that Jim Brown organized.
Several.
It was like a jury almost to sit there and question Muhammad Ali.
Well, no, we didn't necessarily question him in that, hey, why are you doing this? But we wanted to understand,
You wanted to see if he was committed.
What his commitment was.
If this was real.
And like I said, he was fine with it. And at that point, we realized that he was going to go and fight the fight in the courts, which he eventually won.
How did you develop your focus, discipline, and commitment in all things that you do? As the greatest player I've ever played against by far.
Thank you, Bill.
By far.
I was, thank you.
By far. I mean, there's nobody else even in the conversation. By far.
I think that all the examples that I had in front of me of people who had the commitment and the fire and the desire to excel, and got to start with the Bruins there. Jackie Robinson, my hero when I was a kid, So, given those examples, I ended up in the right place.
Which players in the history of basketball have you come to respect and admire? Because, let me just qualify it, because when you're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you don't even acknowledge anybody else's existence. That's what it was like playing against him. I'm just telling you.
Well, I
didn't think he knew my name, and he wrote me this nice note here.
I would have to say, Bill Russell, certainly. I learned so much from him, how to play the game and how to conduct myself off the court. And that's really unusual to have that kind of role model. Very lucky to have a role model like that. Bill really enabled me to understand how to deal with some of the issues, not to go out and attack people, but to try to communicate in a civilized and calm way your concerns about important issues, and Bill, took the time to write books. I don't know, have you read the book about Bill and his relationship with Red Auerbach?
Yes.
It's incredible.
Red and me.
Yeah, Red and me. And
Coach Wooden and me. It's fantastic. I mean, I get that, right?
But no, it was interesting to me because when Bill finally his father was finally able to get his family out of Louisiana and they moved to Oakland. And Bill's mom took him by the library and said, "Bill, that's the library. You're going to be spending a lot of time there." And he had up to that point, living in the segregated South, had never had access to a library. And this was commonplace. Again, people don't get that. But Bill went on All-America at the University of San Francisco, and the captain and leader of the greatest NBA team ever. They won 8 NBA championships in a row.
You're talking about the Celtics, right?
Of course.
Just wanted to keep it clear.
People that I got a chance to see play while I was in high school, I got a chance to watch double headers where Bill Russell played, so I got a chance to learn the game. And my high school coach was able to explain to me how Bill dominated the game and how if you had the right mentality, how to use my talents on the court. So I owe him so much. So he's got to be one of the people I would say that one of the great basketball players that transcends even the game. I think Oscar Robertson did a great job for the game. His advocacy for us to be represented and have a union and all of the advantages that we have benefited from Oscar's leadership of the Players Union.
Bill Russell came to your 70th birthday party recently at the Staples Center.
Yes, he did.
Got some very nice pictures.
Yeah.
He's got a wonderful singing voice.
Oh, my God.
Wilt, When I was in college, early 70s, we used to go down to the Forum, and you were playing for Milwaukee, and Wilt was the center for the Lakers. Describe those battles and what it was like for
It's tough battles.
playing against Wilt, knowing Wilt, and then just the incredible human presence that he was.
Well, yeah, Wilt was literally bigger than life, and just an incredible physical presence on the court, and off the court, he had to kind of like had to absorb all the light. There was no light for anybody else. It was all about Wilt. He was just that type of guy. While he was playing for the 76ers, he lived in New York. This is all, again, the time when
the 76ers are in Philadelphia. Yes.
Yeah, so, but I'd see him a lot, because he hung out up in Harlem, and I'd see him and just observed his lifestyle. Wow. He, Lavender Bentley.
Is that spoken with jealousy, envy, or fear? Or all of them?
A mixture of all of those. But, geez, seeing how well someone in his position could live was quite an incentive to want to play basketball. So I didn't necessarily want to live like that, but I could do something with the dollars, definitely.
How's your health these days, Kareem?
I'm doing pretty good, Bill. I'm
You look
surviving
fantastic.
cancer and leukemia.
Survived cancer, you say?
Yeah, I'm surviving leukemia and trying to live one day at a time. Thank you.
Do you still play basketball?
No.
No. What do you do for fun and exercise?
I jump rope and do a little bit of yoga. I'm building a swimming pool, so I'll get back in the water.
And what are you reading these days? What books do you have to share today?
I read anything, basically. I'm always waiting for the next novel from Walter Mosley, one of my favorite authors. And, I read fiction and nonfiction. I like crime fiction. Raymond Chandler and Dashiell Hammett kind of got me hooked on that.
Share with us, please, your experience with Langston Hughes, and then the transformation of Coach Wooden, who came to that same island.
Well, Langston Hughes was one of the principal voices of the Harlem Renaissance. He was a poet and extraordinary talent as a poet. Coach Wooden enjoyed poetry a lot, and I was shocked to find out that someone who I'd studied about as being part of the Harlem Renaissance was also one of Coach Wooden's favorite poets, and he knew his poetry. Coach Wooden had, Coach Wooden did things that you wouldn't think of. Think of Coach Wooden as a very straight-laced guy.
Oh, yeah.
You could see him speaking at a church, or maybe a political event. He also played professional basketball. They played the Harlem Globetrotters in Chicago, and at the Chicago Savoy. And Coach Wooden usually would, if they played in Chicago, he'd get on the train and get back to Indianapolis that night. He said, but I couldn't do it this night because the food was great, and they had Cab Calloway's band there. So Coach Wooden stayed and hung out. Now, for me to think about Coach Wooden hanging out with the brothers on the south side of Chicago, going hidey hi, hidey ho. That's not how you would think of Coach Chanel, right?
No. The Mills Brothers, right?
That was their favorite.
That was their favorite. Played on their wedding night.
Played it on their wedding night, the Mills Brothers.
Yep.
So and Coach Wooden liked swing big band jazz.
Give the audience a sense of sitting in Coach's den. The biggest chair in there was half the size of that chair right there, with the exception of the one right under the letter from Nixon.
I sat on the couch.
You sat on that couch?
Yeah.
No wonder you have cancer.
Springs and all. I sat on the couch. But, you'd be sitting there, and Coach had, pictures of Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig that he had signed by them when they barnstormed through Indiana. And they were right there. Just stuff from some of the most incredibly talented and well-known people in the world, athletes and non-athletes, heads of state. It's just laying around just haphazardly everywhere.
What frustrates you today? You talk eloquently about the lack of social progress, but things that frustrate you today in your daily life.
Geez, I'm just waiting for everybody to get behind the push for education. The whole idea, knowledge is power. If we're going to have a powerful nation, we have to educate our youth. We have to be serious about that, and that's not happening. Everybody's trying to save money by cutting back on the money that we spend on teachers and our schools, and I think that is national suicide. And I hope we get wise.
What about the burden of being Kareem? The burden of being the best? The responsibility of everything on you every day.
Well, I only had to try to be the best when I played professional basketball, but I had competition. And competition is good. It's a healthy thing. So, I always saw that as don't get too caught up on having to be number one. Just make sure that you can give your best effort, and people will accept that.
What have been some of the most special moments on the book tour? When did the book tour start? Where has it been so far?
Just basically have been in New York and here and on the phone with people all over the country on radio these past couple of mornings. So the satellite radio
tour. Something you just normally
tour.
Do every day, right? You get up and you call all these radio shows around the country, right? No?
But this is what you do when you publish a book. If you're going to sell it, you've sold a couple yourself.
Talk about the process of putting this together, the editor and the publisher, and how'd that all go? How'd it come about?
Basically, people find out about a project, different publishers, and if they think that you can write, they will bid for your services, and if they don't think you can write, you're a very lonely voice. So,
but you're a proven success.
I've been very fortunate to
have all 14 of the books made it to the New York Times bestseller list?
No, but a couple of them have, and I can make that claim.
What about Mycroft Holmes?
Mycroft Holmes made it.
Made it?
Yeah.
What's the difference between that book and this book?
Mycroft Holmes is fiction. It's a story about Sherlock Holmes' older brother, his backstory. Arthur Conan Doyle didn't write too much about him, so I figured that was an opportunity for me to tell a tale, and people liked it. I was surprised. I knew that it was okay because the people from BBC came over to interview me about it. And they were like, a basketball player in America wrote a story, and it wasn't bad. I knew that. That kind of acceptance is what authors live for. You don't care how much money you make at that point if people think that, well, maybe he can write a little bit. So
Rest
I'm
assured,
really happy
you're a lot
about
more
that.
than a basketball player.
I am. But, sometimes people get caught up in appearances,
What is next for you?
A little bit of rest, R&R after I get through with the book tour.
Taking the summer off?
Somewhat.
Going on the Grateful Dead tour? Or?
No. Are you?
Yeah, start Saturday night in Las Vegas.
How many places do they go?
They're going for 7 or 8 weeks, and I'll go to the first 9 shows, and then they head that way, and I'm staying here in California.
They're touring America or Europe or
No, America.
Just America? Okay.
Safer here.
See,
so far.
See, the things that excite me, like Quincy Jones tells me about the first time he went to South America with Dizzy Gillespie's band.
Right.
And he tells me stories about that, and so I can't get into the Grateful Dead. I'm sorry. But you can tell me some stories about the Grateful Dead. Maybe you can change my mind.
I'm just your prop up here.
No, Bill.
What about your social stances? As Too many of us retreat. You always step to the front. Where did that confidence, pride, and affirmation come from?
I think just the example that was provided for me by the heroes of the civil rights movement. I had the privilege of seeing Mr. John Lewis speak.
When?
Well, just a couple months ago.
Oh, just recently. Okay.
Yeah, just recently. But he talked. We got a chance to ask him a few questions about that day that he had to cross the bridge, and they fractured his skull, and the man is not angry. He's not bitter. He's full of love and joy, and he still wants to give. He still wants to see progress made, and he's not angry at anyone. And when you see that spirit, it's humbling, and it makes you understand that we have some very important work to do. And he said that if you do not put your life on the line, if you do not risk your health and all the things that you have fought for to fight for your civil and political rights, then you are not committed.
How have you changed since you first came to Los Angeles in 1965?
Let's see, I lost all my hair.
You were I'm catching you quickly. I'm right there.
Oh, I think I've been able to grow, and it's been just so incredible being part of this community. I came out here from New York. I didn't think I'd stay, and the way things worked out, I ended up here. I've never regretted it for a moment.
What about the current state of the sport of basketball?
I think the game is very popular. The fact that it's
because
attractive.
of you.
Well, yeah, and hey.
You made college basketball what it is, and you carried the NBA for 20 years.
But the game has evolved, and the more modern, like we were able to beat on each other, right? Now, they can't beat on each other anymore. So the game has changed a little bit, but it's still a great game, and now it's a long-range shooting game, it seems. The year that the Lakers beat this team from back east in 1985.
Right.
From the first game of the season.
That was Boston, right?
I think so. It's up there somewhere.
And
From
you won the final game in Boston.
Yes, we did.
And you were voted the MVP of the playoffs, the oldest player ever to do that at 38.
Yes, I was. But I was referring to where the game is today. Today, in that year, we made about 98 or so three-point shots from the first game of the season to the last game of the playoffs. In 2015, the Golden State Warriors, from the first game of the season to the last game of the playoffs, made 1,072 three-point shots. The game has changed, Bill.
Well, you talk about it right here.
Yeah, the game has
way
changed.
before your time.
Yeah.
Yes, the way things were. Talk about the incident in Washington, D.C. when you were living in Milwaukee and you had bought a home that some other people were living in.
Well, Bill, I was trying to support my Islamic community. The guy that was in charge of it, he ended up provoking a very ugly incident where some people tried to kill him and his family. So, it was a very tough time.
And how did that ever play out in over the rest of your life?
Well, the upshot of it was some people were convicted of murder and sent to jail. He later.
So they found the guys.
Oh yeah, they found the guys, and they were members of the Black Muslims, and they went to jail. But the leader of the community, he became very unstable. He ended up taking over a building and stuff, and it just wasn't very pretty. And I had to get away from that scene.
What was it like for 6 years in Milwaukee?
You have to have some serious thick wool socks, long underwear, It's a tough place, but the best fans in the world. Oh my goodness, just great fans. I don't know if you people ever see like Green Bay versus Chicago, and the fans, when they're rabid, they're nuts. I mean, and if you play inside of the lines of the state lines of Wisconsin, they take you in, and you're their guy. And that kind of support was wonderful. I still run into Milwaukee fans every place I go. They're snowbirds. Some of them got to get out of there in the winter, so they go all over the place. But great fans. It was nice playing there, but it was great getting back here to Southern California.
What was it like spending all that time with Chick Hearn?
Chick was wonderful, and he would challenge me, because he liked to do crosswords, so I would help him a lot of the time. He'd be like 8 letters, but he was a great guy and really understood the game. I believe he had started with the Lakers while they were still in Minneapolis.
No, he came here in 1962.
He came in 62?
Lakers came in 60. He came in 62. Yes.
No, because I remember I saw Jerry play his rookie year.
In Minneapolis.
Jerry.
Or did Jerry start here?
Jerry started here.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw him play his rookie year. I was at the game November 1960 where Elgin got 72 against the Knicks. I was at that game. I was 13 years old. And I was also at the game when Kobe got 81. And in neither one I was on the team. Isn't that great?
The future of the Lakers.
I think
What do you think? What do you want? What are your dreams?
It's good that they got a high draft pick, but they really need to be smart, and they need to get lucky. We got Magic because we were lucky. So you need all of that. But everybody roots for the Lakers now because we spoiled them during Showtime, and that's great. Yeah.
Can you come back and play?
I wish I could. I wish I could drop about 40 years,
Take us through the coaching dream that you had, that you tried, and that you describe perfectly in this book.
Well, I finally figured out that I might want to coach in the mid-90s. I had retired. I was in my late 40s, so that's a late time in your life to try to start coaching. So I started coaching on an Indian reservation just to show people that I wanted to do it. And that opened some doors for me. I got some work with the Knicks. A couple of the teams had me come and work with their big men. And finally, in 2005, Andrew Bynum wanted to learn from me, and that enabled me to get a job with the Lakers. And I coached Andrew for about 6 years. It went well until I think when he signed his contract for $50 million, he decided I didn't know anything. So that kind of shortened my stay with the Lakers. But it was fun, Bill. I enjoyed it. I didn't get the shot at a head coaching job, but you had to be involved in it a lot longer and more intensely than I was. So I can accept that I didn't get a shot.
There was frustration, though, in there.
Yeah, it was frustrating.
And there was resistance to you trying to chase that dream.
Yeah, and
and Coach was very supportive.
He was supportive, but he said, I had done things and affected people in ways that made people question me. So, I had to accept that. And Coach told me, that's a bed that you made, you have to deal with it.
Why do you think that was? Are you just too smart for him?
Me? No. I just...
both you and Rick Barry have had similar problems. And you and Rick are very different, but you're both incredibly intelligent. And
I think that...
I see fear on the other side.
Maybe, but I didn't let people know my commitment or my knowledge. Maybe I was too withdrawn to engage at the time that I needed to with the people who made the decisions. I could very easily see that because I'm a pretty shy person.
So am I.
Yeah. You were at one time.
And then I learned how to talk.
Worst thing that ever happened.
Most people liked me better when I couldn't talk. Ted has given me the something over there. He's telling me he wants to do some questions from the audience here. We got any questions out there, Ted?
Yeah, it's a time for questions from the audience. Real quick around here, questions generally start with a W or an H, sometimes a D. They are typically short. We do not believe in two-part questions. Only Bill gets to ask follow-up questions.
Tell us about your relationship with Magic Johnson.
My relationship with Magic, it was wonderful. It was like all of a sudden they gave me a little brother, and who could play the game at the best level and who knew everything. Wow, it was wonderful to play with him, and he enabled me to get to a point where I could smell the roses. Everybody remembers the first game that we played against the Clippers. In San Diego, I hit this hook shot to win the game.
A 21-footer in Swen's face.
In Swen Naders, my fellow Bruin, but I had to put that one in, right? So Magic went crazy, right? He's like, like we just won the World Championship. It's the first game of the season. So, I had to have a talk with Magic, I said, if we're at this emotional level for every game that we win, we're going to be wiped out by Christmas. So, but at that point, I got a message from him that it's okay to enjoy the moment. I was not known for that, right? It was wonderful knowing him. He's a great guy.
Did anybody here have the privilege of hearing Magic's speech at Kareem's statue unveiling? Absolutely over the top. Magic spoke late. He was the last speaker of the day. Kareem had inexplicably lobbied for his own statue. I couldn't believe that. But then Magic just absolutely just put it all together perfectly, and it was just so fun. And how is it today? Magic, as the head of the Lakers, he's brought you back. He's brought you back into the family into a more public role. Correct?
Yeah, and they want me to do some PR stuff, and I also might work with the team. I have to go in the next couple of weeks and talk with the folks there, talk with Irvin, and see maybe we can work something out where I'd even.
Just make sure to remind them of the new ESPN TNT contracts they just signed with the NBA.
Jeez, Bill, you got good information.
Yes, in the white shirt back there. Or
Hi.
What happened to Ted? Sorry.
I've got the mic. Bill, you actually eclipsed my question. I was going to ask Kareem why you think it took so long, as you call it, Bill, inexplicable for the Lakers organization to get your statue.
Oh, why it took so long for the Lakers? Well, no, they hired me to coach Andrew Bynum.
No, the question was about why it took the Lakers so long to give you your statue.
Geez, I don't know. You better go talk to Jeannie.
Okay, next question over here.
Why do you think John Wooden never went?
They did wait too long. They did wait too long.
Why do you think Mr.
But
Wooden never
at
went?
the end of the day, Kareem's statue is perfectly placed right out in front. It's the biggest of all the statues, and in perfect detail, he leads with that left elbow right into your face. Man, broken jaw, broken teeth, broken nose, broken spirits. Oh my God.
Why?
Hey,
Why do you
Bill,
think-
I just remember some guys in red and white and black uniforms in 1977. They kicked a little ass. You remember those guys?
Yeah, we had Maurice Lucas and nobody else did.
Why do you think Coach Wooden never turned to become a pro coach?
I don't think Coach Wooden wanted to be a pro coach. He wanted to mold the lives of young men. And a pro coach is about winning basketball games and being the face of the franchise. It's a totally different gig from being a college coach who considers himself to be a teacher. He Coach Wooden thought he was a teacher. He didn't think he was all coach. He was teaching us, and he was teaching us life skills that really had a very strong moral base. And as you've often seen, there's not a whole lot of morality in professional sports.
But he wanted to be your dad too. I mean,
Well, he was
and
a
in this
surrogate.
book, you share that sentiment of that he was like your dad.
He was like a dad for us, but I mean, he had it tuned right. He didn't
Right.
go overboard, and
Except he wanted us to cut our hair every day. Oh my God.
And our next question?
We can't see a thing up here, Ted, so you got to. There you
Right
go.
here. This is a more serious
See all
question.
these
So,
nice people out here, though.
in regards to white America, you mentioned empathy and you also mentioned patience. But I would say that patience has kind of led us to our current political situation, and that inability to acknowledge the role that white America plays in oppression is costing the lives of blacks, Latinos, immigrants, Muslims. So, how much patience is enough, and when is it an endorsement of our own oppression?
patience is not an endorsement of our own oppression, but patience is necessary to organize and motivate people until you have people that understand the issues and are willing to, as John Lewis said, put their life on the line. You're not going to get anything done. People have to have that strong a commitment. So it's about commitment, and that was the one thing that Coach Wooden started out. He didn't want guys that weren't committed, that didn't want to win, that were just laissez-faire kind of people. He wanted people that had that bit in their teeth and that fire in their eye.
We have time for 2 more questions.
Oh, we got more time than that. Come on. When's your next event, Kareem?
Not tonight.
Where are you, Ted? I
Kareem,
can't see you.
Kareem, thank you very much for your time tonight. I had a quick question. Given the effectiveness of the skyhook and how dominant you were with it, why is it over the decades it hasn't been replicated? Why don't more people employ it, given how successful a weapon it was?
The simple answer is that nobody's teaching kids how to shoot it. It's not something that they want to learn how to shoot. Somebody showed me a drill when I was in the 5th grade that was developed for George Mikan, who was the very first great center for the Lakers. He played in Minneapolis. They won 5 NBA championships. So I learned this drill, and when I was in the 5th grade, and by the time I was in the 8th grade, I had the hook shot down. If more kids are taught that shot, they'll use it because it can't be blocked. It's very effective, but kids are so caught up with the 3-point shot. That's what everybody wants to put their toes on the 3-point line and fire away, and that's dominating the game now. So I guess it's fallen out of fashion, but it is very effective. Human physique has not changed. You still can't block it.
As a follow-up to that, he has a very unique body type. He has the body type of a Scottie Pippen or a Dr. J, but who's 8 inches, 10 inches taller. And that left leg of his, which was the power, the foundation, the explosion to get to that skyhook, with the elbow in the face, that left leg belongs in the Smithsonian. But more importantly, his mind, his heart, his spirit, and his soul, because that's what separates the champions. And this is as great a champion who's ever lived. You can talk about all the other guys you want.
Thank you, Bill.
And if they're going to put the left leg in the Smithsonian, I've got to figure out where they're going to put the mind, the heart, the spirit, and the soul, because it's even higher than that. Ted, where are you?
Over here.
Yes.
Whenever you were hurt or injured, what did you tell yourself to get through that? And do you remember any messages from, say, a physical therapist or a trainer?
Geez, I didn't get hurt or
He
injured
never
that much.
got hurt. Come on, man. I got to cut this off here.
Because
Wait a second. There's a picture in the book here of Coach. and Kareem and me at Kareem's 50th birthday party, right? And so I show up, we get there. Fabulous. I mean, I'm surprised I got an invitation, right? I didn't think he knew who I was. And so we get there, and he's 50 years old. It's his 50th birthday party. And he hasn't played in 8 years, and he's got a boot on, and he's walking with a cane. And I look at him, I said, what happened to you? He said, oh, man. My little toe was killing me, so they were just carving on it the other day, and it's just super sore. I said, well, how many surgeries have you had now? At 50 years old, he said, Bill, that was my first surgery I've ever had. I've had 37 orthopedic operations. Jealousy, envy, man, I know it's evil, but man, I'm right there.
Bill, you know, my son...
Answer the question. Sorry for interrupting. Sorry.
My son is an orthopedic surgeon.
Oh, man.
See, I was trying to take care of you, man.
Please help me. Oh, please help me.
All right, let's do the last one.
Wait, we never answered the guy's question up there. The question was, what got you through the tough times, Kareem?
What gets you through the tough times if you get injured or something like that is the fact that you've dreamed about this career since you were a kid. This is the type of thing that little kids dream about. You know, most young boys at some point in their life have some idea that maybe they could do something real slick on the field, in the field of athletics. And those of us who get the opportunity to do that, we feel so privileged. It's something that you will work at to do as long as you can, because it's not something you can do for your whole life. A doctor takes his training, he's a doctor until he retires. If you get to play professional sports, it's a very finite time. You know, by the time you're in your 30s, you're going to be thinking about doing something else for the rest of your life. So I think that's what it's all about. It's such a privileged life, and the pay is pretty good too.
But anyone who has ever known Kareem or been with him or watched him, observed him, all his coaches, all his teammates, all the broadcasters, they will all tell you that nobody worked harder. We live under the umbrella of John Wooden, and the mantra that fits right here is failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And the amount of time that this guy put in to perfecting his game, polishing his natural gifts and skills, developing his mind, opening his heart and soul, which he has done just perfectly in this book. And once you read this book, you're going to have a completely different opinion, because Kareem, for some reason, he is not, over the course of the 51 years that I've been his fan, he has not opened himself up until now here. And I'm just, when I was reading this book, I was just crying. I was saying, oh my gosh, where has this been? What was the question now, Ted? I'm sorry.
That's tough to follow. But this fits a little bit with what you were just saying, Kareem, about you play for a certain amount of time and then you've got the rest of your life. Team sports, which is how you excelled from a young age, all those champions and so on, team. And then you become a writer, which is solitary. What is those two things like in you in that transition?
That gives me an opportunity to tell people what I think and give them an insight that I might have and want to share. That's how I see it. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Yeah.
Kareem, what are some of the things that you'd like to do different? Or would have, in looking back, saying, man, I wish I had done that different? Or are you just perfect?
No, I wasn't perfect. The one thing all right, you really want to know?
Yeah, I asked you the question.
I would have, my freshman year, Coach Bush asked me to be on the track team because they wanted me to do the triple jump. And I said, I have no background in track and field. He said, that's all right. If you do the triple jump, you're going to get us points. But I didn't want to do it, right? And that was the best track team that UCLA ever had. And I could have been on the best basketball team and the best track team. So, and I still would only have been like half of Jackie Robinson.
He was a four-sport man.
Four-sport. Jackie Robinson was Bo Jackson in 1940, okay? He lettered in football, basketball, track and field, and baseball at UCLA, and was like All-America in all of them. I don't know if you saw Ken Burns' documentary on Jackie Robinson. They showed his footage from where he played at UCLA. Jackie Robinson still holds the record at UCLA for yards per carry from scrimmage. He still holds the record.
In football.
In football. I mean, you know, that was like...
What does that say about our current team?
Well, they definitely don't have somebody like Jack running the ball, that's for sure.
UCLA had Jackie Robinson and nobody else did. So, what were some of the things that you and Coach Wooden never could come together on?
There's nothing that I could think of. And, you know, I was with him. Keith and I saw him just a couple of weeks before he passed.
Right.
And it was the same. It was like no time had passed. You know, he's like, and we were at a dinner that was honoring the Negro League umpires and some of the players.
That's in this book here.
Yeah. And Coach said he wanted to say goodbye. So, and I didn't get it till later. It really bothered me that I missed that one. But I was with him before he died, Bill.
Share with the people his memory, John Wooden's memory, the ability to recall, recite, repeat.
John would, he would, something would happen and he'd have a lesson to teach you, and then he'd go back and remember something that his father said, or a passage from scripture or a poem, and he'd share it with you and then get into it. He'd discuss it with you. It was always like the poem was like a pleasant distraction, and then he had your attention, you know, and then he'd start.
And the mental gymnastics that you would get into with the coach.
Oh yeah, he challenged you, you know, and he had a whole lot of little things that he could trick you with, man. He was amazing.
And a sense of humor.
He had a great sense of humor, but he asked me one time, he said, why did Langston Hughes write such short lines? And I said, geez, I don't know. He said, he was paid by the line, so he figured if he wrote shorter lines, he'd have a longer poem and get paid more. You know, who would look up something like that and know it and be able to tell it to you?
Ted, you're not wrapping us up, are you?
Yeah, I think we got to wrap it up.
No, man, it's just early.
No, we...
Wait. Kareem, take us through the end of the book.
Take the end of the book.
The end of the book, and the sadness, and how we can accept the greatest challenges on earth, which is to take the worst things, in this case, John Wooden passing, and turn it into something positive, and hopefully be able to make it better.
Well, you know, Coach Wooden taught us one of the first things he taught us, that we had to accept life. You know, if you can't accept the way things are, you're not going to get anything done because your ambition is too unrealistic. You have to accept the way things are and do things the right way so that you can achieve something with your life. And you had to learn about that. And it takes discipline, and it takes patience and application. And the one thing that he said that he didn't put in the pyramid, but it is the beginning and the end, the one four-letter word, it's the beginning and the end, is love. If you don't have that love and compassion and commitment, that loving commitment, it's not going to work.
And we love you, Kareem, and I hope you know that.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you for your life, which has given us ours. And thank you for this book, which has explained so much and just given us a foundation, a springboard to move on to this young lady's question and challenge to us all as to how we can use the past to make a better tomorrow. Thank you, Kareem. We love you. Great job. Go buy this book right here.
Thank you very much. And all of you for sharing this evening with us. It's really special. Bill came up from wonderful things. He has his own maritime fortune ensconced down there in San Diego, but he came up here just to do this for me tonight. Thank you, Bill.
I'm the luckiest guy in the world. Little Billy from San Diego would watch on the black and white television shows with Dick Enberg calling the games.
KTLA.
Listening to Fred Hessler on the radio, reading Jeff Prue and Dwight Chapin in the LA Times, and Jim Murray writing about this most incredible human being. And then I got the chance to follow him at UCLA, which was the ultimate privilege. I went to UCLA because of him. I wore number 33 in high school because of him, as did Magic, as did Larry. That's how special this guy is. And to be able to come here tonight and be a part of this and to read this book, having lived so much of the stories my own self in the relationship that I had, but to hear this and to read this and to see my friend Kareem, who I didn't even think he knew who I was, and to see this, and to see how this book, this is a great book, and I really hope that you buy it, you read it, you pass it around, you buy more copies, give it to everybody you know, because this book will change your life, and the lessons in there that will make it happen for a better tomorrow, and that's what Kareem has always stood for, and that's why we love him as great American hero as there ever been, and a true Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the greatest.